Tonight, Port Lincoln's community counts the cost left by Monday's bushfire, and nurses from across the region ramp up their strike action again in Port Pirie against their pay and conditions.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. Fire Cause investigators are still trying to piece together the cause of Monday's devastating bushfire in Port Lincoln. Residents are doing what they can to clean up after the blaze tore through property and scrubland.
A wall of fire moving rapidly, destroying everything in its path. This is the terrifying scene Nigel Thomas was faced with as flames raged around his property.
Then all of a sudden it just turned around, came straight towards the house, and then the fire just followed right behind it.
The vision demonstrates the crackling of fire as it edged closer and closer to his home and his daughter's beloved horses.
I knew they'd be safe in the paddock, but they were actually quite calm. I was quite surprised. They just stood by the fence and watched what was going on.
Thankfully, his home and animals were spared. Today, he's picking up the pieces, cleaning his property that was almost turned to ash.
Very lucky, yeah. Yeah, with the size of the flames and all the embers that were flying through here, very lucky. Today,
Fire Cause investigators touched down on Ground Zero, trying to determine what sparked the fire. Any idea what sparked it?
Not at this stage. We're still conducting an investigation.
Do we know where it started?
I can't confirm that at this stage either.
Authorities say the fire could have been much worse, but a warning the threat is far from over. Summer is just weeks away. They're saying prepare properties now or take an extreme risk.
Firstly, clean up, slashing, getting rid of some fuel around the property, rubbish and debris out of the gutters and around the housing, and just general yard cleanliness and tidiness.
Fire Cause investigators will remain on scene tonight. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Nurses across the region have walked off the job for the second time in 2 weeks. The Treasurer says the disruptions are unacceptable, but nurses say they fear for the future if demands for better working conditions aren't met.
These Port Pirie nurses behind me have walked off the job once again for half an hour today. They say they're raising their emergency sirens to put pressure on Rob Lucas.
They're not getting paid for the abuse, verbal and physical abuse that they're getting on the wards.
In a show of strength, Clare Valley and Wallaroo Hospital have joined forces.
Safe staffing! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Safe staffing!
Over 6 months of negotiations with the state government for better pay and working conditions has so far achieved nothing. Some say they fear for their safety at work, with numerous medical professionals assaulted in South Australia this year alone.
It's really, really sad that in this day and age that security cannot be provided, especially in the rural communities.
Others fear for the next generation, who say the long hours and increasingly challenging conditions aren't viable.
I feel really sorry for the younger nurses, and we need to look after them because we need to have a workforce that we retain.
The Treasurer says this action isn't going to achieve anything except create disruptions for patients.
It doesn't matter how many strikes or how many purple clothes they wear in protest. That doesn't give the government $1 extra.
But they say they won't give up until their pleas are met.
And we want some genuine measures to make nursing safe and to make it a viable long-term career for people.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Police are offering a substantial reward to help solve a 1982 Whyalla cold case. They're offering $200,000 for information that will lead to a conviction in the Buddy Newchurch murder. Mr Newchurch was assaulted by 2 males outside the Westlands Hotel around 11:20 on the evening of November 9, 1982. He died before reaching the Whyalla Hospital. 2 suspects were charged, however, they were released before it proceeded to trial. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. And police in Port Lincoln have arrested a teenager and 5 adults following an investigation into stolen credit cards. Earlier this month, a home on Hindmarsh Street was broken into and a handbag containing the cards was stolen. Police later arrested 5 men and a 15-year-old who allegedly used the stolen cards. All 6 people were charged with a raft of offences and are due to appear in court at a later date. Local councils are being encouraged to apply for up to $5 million in funding to upgrade regional airports. The local MP says the grants will help make the facilities a gateway to our region.
The Eyre Peninsula's new era is slowly but surely beginning to take off. Billions of dollars in investment is planned, bringing new people to the region for work and leisure. Business leaders say our airports need to be ready to handle what's coming.
They are a very important economic and social statement to visitors and to the community. It provides a good place for self-belief that we can do things well.
Local airfields and airstrips can now access a new federal government program to upgrade their offerings, worth between $20,000 and $5 million. They'll split the cost 50-50 with airport owners. Funds can be used to improve safety, security and amenities.
Passengers using regional airports, aerodromes, delivery of essential goods and improving connectivity, operational requirements, so quite a broad range.
And there's also a focus on using the upgrades to boost trade and community links with global and domestic partners.
Building those services and making sure they survive and making sure they thrive and making the airports amenable, which is an added bonus of attracting tourists in.
The funding comes as Whyalla and Port Lincoln's airports grapple with changes to security laws. Both are being encouraged to apply for this funding.
But using it as an opportunity, and I think it's a good thing for them to pitch into, and that's what I'll be advising.
More funding is welcome. We'll be working very heavily with Port Lincoln Council.
Applications close in December. John Hunt, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill's controversial new gateway signs will go ahead after a fiery council meeting last night. The local chambers were packed to the rafters with passionate locals wanting to make their voices heard.
A capacity crowd, these Broken Hill locals are calling for change.
So let's show the support for the Broken Hill community and adopt this motion tonight.
But they left disappointed. Councillor Kennedy's motion to stop production of the current gateway sign design and adopting a new one rejected 6 votes to 2. The decision to stick with what they have.
As a councillor, you want the community behind the council, and what happened tonight was there was a clear difference between the community and the council.
The crowd unimpressed, claiming their voice isn't being heard.
What does it say about this council? This process was overturned because one entrant did not like the outcome.
I thought it was a crushing disappointment. It was such a lost opportunity.
5 signs will most definitely lead to larger social media audience.
Local Deanna Spicer's designs were suggested as replacements, Daria Turley tabling a mayoral minute as a compromise. That would mean Deanna hands over her designs to council and it will consider making them down the track. But she says they won't be handed over anytime soon.
It's disrespectful and it's really disappointing for our town and our city and for the future of Broken Hill. It's a very disappointing result.
There was one form of compromise though. This sign on Adelaide Road will be relocated so visibility is improved.
Council need to realise tonight they've made a bad decision.
For now it'll be the end of the story, but who knows.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, Butler's Bridge closed to trucks amid safety concerns, and Port Augusta's Green Power Festival officially on the calendar. Welcome back. Farmers will be forced to detour their heavy vehicles outside Port Pirie with Butler's Bridge closing to trucks. Council says the move comes following a risk assessment which deemed the site too unsafe.
This bridge worse for wear, council's forced to implement a 10-tonne load limit.
Unfortunately, as we're coming into harvest, larger vehicles will have to find an alternative route.
Butler's Bridge is located 10 kilometres outside Pirie and its closure coincides with the opening of the new grain facility ADM, creating more heavy vehicle traffic south of Pirie.
The farmers and landholders further south, they won't be as affected as much because it just means that they'll have a different route to take to get them probably onto the Spencer Highway.
Council expects the bridge to have a 12-month load limit, with upgrades proposed for next financial year's budget.
how we can improve the bridge, and it was in our long-term capital works program for next year to replace or repair.
Council says that all other bridges were inspected across the district and now have received the tick of approval.
And at this point in time, they're all performing quite well. They're holding up and their condition is good. So Butler's Bridge is the only one at this stage of concern.
More information can be found on the council's website. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Whyalla residents are being urged to avoid the marina swimming enclosure as construction of the new jetty continues. The area is off limits while the building works continue. Council says it's received reports of people swimming across the marina to use the facility. They say the practice is a danger to workers and boat owners who use the marina to launch their vessels. Swimmers are being advised to use the beach, which is patrolled by surf lifesavers. A renewable energy festival described as the first of its kind in South Australia will be held in Port Augusta next year. The event kicks off in the first week of April and is set to showcase the future of the industry in the city.
The Green Power Festival is on its way, with Port Augusta tipped the hub for South Australia's bright future.
The state is really moving forward in renewables. We're leading the world in terms of renewable energy.
The festival aims to showcase what's to come for Port Augusta in the green energy sector, while taking learnings from its past.
We need to look at the history of where we've come from and where Port Augusta is heading now, in line with what the whole country needs to do to get zero emissions.
The launch bringing together businesses and sponsors.
Come together to celebrate our transition from coal to renewables and our town's resilience and ability to move forward and really capitalise on the benefits that this can bring.
The festival, which starts next April, aims to educate and entertain through interactive measures.
Electric cars is going to showcase solar panels, battery power, the projects that are happening here with different companies throughout the entire region.
Confident that it will provide the town with many benefits.
It is the ability to change the image of our city. We are transitioning to a really modern, sustainable place to live.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Biss Industries has celebrated 60 years of operations in Whyalla. The industrial company marked the occasion with a function last night. Current employees joined with those who'd worked with them for more than 20 years to reflect and reminisce.
We've gone on to do more of that in Western Australia, but a lot of the growth that we've seen around this business has started here in Whyalla.
The company recently signed a new deal with the owners of the Whyalla Steelworks to expand its operations. The Port Pirie Christmas pageant is fast approaching and organisers are urging residents and businesses to register their floats by the end of the month. Volunteers will also be offered free face painting before the pageant, with more than 100 people signing up to be clowns, fairies and elves last year. The pageant will kick off at 7 p.m. on December the 7th. Stay with us after the break, this week's Fuel Watch, and we'll have your weather details with Alex. Hello again. Let's take a look at how things are shaping up when we head to the Bowser. Here's Patrick Reinke with this week's Fuel Watch.
Back-to-back good weeks for our local petrol prices, majority of townships going down or staying put. Starting with unleaded, and Port Lincoln has enjoyed a 1 cent drop to 1.46, now a cent less than Whyalla, which saw no movement this week. The rest of the Spencer Gulf has also seen small declines over the past few days. Port Augusta also ticked down to 1.52, Port Pirie is 8 cents cheaper than that, 1.44 there. Kadina is now the cheapest in the Spencer Gulf after falling by 2 cents, the average now $1.43. Broken Hill has seen some green, but we're still paying 1.51. Adelaide motorists are having a good time at the moment, 1.38 in the City of Churches. Turning over to diesel now, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Port Lincoln and Whyalla have broken even, 1.51, 1.52. Port Augusta on the way down, but not by much. Port Pirie doing a little better, down by about a cent. Kadina on the way up, Broken Hill is hovering at $1.54. Adelaide has seen a little movement. Finishing off with a quick look at Autogas, not much to report. Everywhere is holding steady. Whyalla and Port Lincoln both on 92 cents, Port Augusta 89, Port Pirie 87, the same as Broken Hill. Kadina is still cheap at 84 cents. Adelaide is beating everyone though, still sitting on 79. Now remember that these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do find a spot that does sell unleaded, auto gas or diesel for cheaper, be sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Now for a look at the week's weather, here's Alex.
Thanks, Louise. A bit of cloud around the region today. Port Lincoln 17 degrees, 21 in Whyalla, Broken Hill, Port Pirie and Port Augusta a top of 23 degrees, and it reached a max of 20 degrees in Adelaide. Taking a look at the satellite now, a high pressure system is expected to move slowly eastwards and weaken by tomorrow. This will bring a cold front to the southeast of the state on Friday before another high moves into the Bight for the weekend. Looking at the waters for tomorrow, southwesterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas at a metre, and the sun will rise at 6:09 with sunset just before 8 o'clock. Partly cloudy conditions expected across the region tomorrow. Port Augusta set for a top of 29 degrees, Whyalla 24, Port Lincoln 19, Coffin Bay 21, Woodner, Quorn and Broken Hill all a top of 27 degrees, Port Pirie, Cleve and Kadina all 25, Clare 22 and Adelaide a top of 21 degrees. Looking ahead to the next 4 days, mostly fine conditions for Port Lincoln on Friday with 19, moving to a cloudy top of 18 on Saturday, staying around 19 on Sunday. Cleve expected around 24 on Friday, 21 Saturday and 26 on Sunday. And it's looking cloudy for Woodner, Friday 27 degrees, 27 Saturday and a sunny 33 expected on Sunday. Whyalla partly cloudy for the next 2 days, 23 Friday, 22 Saturday and sunny and 26 expected on Sunday. Getting sunny in Port Augusta, 28 Friday, 27 Saturday and reaching 32 by Sunday. And in Kadina, 23 Friday, 22 Saturday and 26 degrees on Sunday. Some cloud in Port Pirie, a top of 26, 25 on Saturday and 28 and sunny on Sunday. A bit cooler in Clare with tops of 23 Friday and Saturday, expected 27 degrees on Sunday. Looking lovely and sunny in Broken Hill, 30 on Friday, 27 Saturday and 28 degrees on Sunday. And that's all for tonight's weather. Lou, it's back to you.
All right, thank you for that, Alex. And that's your local news this Wednesday. Thank you for joining us today. We'll have updates later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.